I'm bearish on Polkadot, and here is why. In this video, we're going to go over all of the different reasons why I am pretty bearish on Polkadot. Now, first things first, I actually talked about Polkadot. It was one of my first videos on the channel. Pretty legendary, actually, if you think of it. And, that was on August 8th of 2021, and I was pretty bullish on Polkadot actually back then. And back then it was trading at $19, and that was before it had its second wave up here to $53 for the all-time high. Now, back then when I made that video, I probably didn't take into account things like tokenomics, which is the first reason why I am bearish on Polkadot. And that's because there were 982 million DOT circulating. Right now, there is 1.63 billion DOT circulating. So not a 2x, but like a 1.6x of the supply is now circulating. And the peak market cap was $52 billion, whereas right now we're down to $4 billion. So we're down to $4 billion, and then the supply is so inflated at this point. And due to the current inflation, in order for the token price to hit $53, the actual market cap would have to go to $87 billion, whereas, like I said, we had a all-time high of $52 billion. So it would have to hit a $87 billion market cap just to hit that same previous all-time high. And if you go back a few videos of mine, you'll see a video where I talk about why most cryptos will never exceed their previous all-time high. And this is one of the biggest reasons. There's a pretty large difference between a $50 billion market cap versus $87 billion. And with Polkadot, there is around 10% inflation every single year, all right? 10% inflation. So that is a ton of sell pressure that's basically added to the token price. And if that's not met with the demand of buying it and also staking it, then the price is not going to come back up. Now, the previous pitch for Polkadot was that there is going to be hundreds of specialized blockchains, whereas in reality, many parachains have lost users. A lot of devs just simply moved on to cheaper L2s. And the Crowdloan hype has pretty much completely died. I don't see anyone ever talking about it anymore, whereas back in 2021 a lot of people were talking about it, including myself. It was kind of a part of the hype, a part of the narrative. Now it is completely gone. Another thing we got to talk about is crowd loans. Okay, now if you guys don't know about crowd loans, essentially you could lock up your DOT for, in some cases you could lock them up for like up to 2 years. And when you would lock up your DOT, you would essentially help a project win a parachain slot and also get a piece of their tokens. You wouldn't receive any DOT, but instead you would receive the tokens of that project that's building on DOT. So the hype for this back in 2021 was big. A lot of people were saying that they were locking up their DOT, for up to 2 years. Let's say if you bought at this price point back on October 28th of 2021 for $40. Let's say you bought $1,000 at that price point at $40. Back then, you would have had 25 DOT. Let's say you put this into a crowd loan and set it there and locked it for 2 years. That would roughly put you right here when you could unlock that value of the DOT in the crowd loan. So at $4.20. So your 25 DOT would be $4.25. And that would bring your price to $106. So from $1,000 all the way down to $100 in 2 years. Now you might be saying, well, wait. Of course you weren't staking your DOT and getting a yield on your DOT, but you were actually receiving tokens. How did that go? Well, let's look at that, my friend. So let's look at Akala, all right, a project on Polkadot, right? Down 99% if you look at the chart. Now you might be thinking, wait, what about the people who, they could have just, traded and sold their tokens immediately? No. They vested most of the tokens. In fact, basically all of them were always vested. Of course, you'd have 20 to 30% liquid upon the TGE or token generation event that people could sell, but the majority was vested for 1 to 2 years. And most of the projects really didn't last that long. This is Akala. This is Moon River. Look at that chart. Wow. Incredible. Let's look at this one. Moonbeam, also known as Glimmer. This one is down 99%. And this was kind of the motto. Like basically people would just have the tokens immediately sell off their 30% supply that they were given. And then it would basically print this horrible looking tattoo into the chart of just an ugly looking chart, basically like ICP, right? Internet computer. Basically every chart of all of these different Polkadot projects have the ICP chart that's just like cursed, right? Who would want to get into a project that has a chart like this? So not only in 2 years was your Crowdloan basically just completely nuked, but also was all of the tokens that you ever thought were even interesting. And these were like the best ones: Moonriver, Moonbeam, and Akala, and there's also a star as well. But there were a lot of them that don't even look like this. They were even much worse in terms of price action. Essentially, Polkadot just created long-term bag holders, and they pivoted from layer 0 interoperability to core time to app chains, but really nothing stuck. And nothing about Polkadot is really digestible to normal users at all. Polkadot also spends recklessly on marketing that hasn't seemed to work at all to any degree. And, you know, they've spent over $400,000 to put an animated logo on CoinMarketCap. I don't know if you guys know that, but basically this logo of this little animation here, yeah, that cost $400,000 to do and to put onto CoinMarketCap. So they've spent $400,000 on an animated logo. Meanwhile, the price is basically completely tanked. And basically the treasury is just being burned. It's not being invested at all. And if you look at DeFi Llama, you'll see that the total value locked is 0, when in reality, you got to look at the different projects. So you'll see, you know, Akala, but you'll see that this one is basically down a lot from, you know, 100 million to $200,000. Or Equilibrium, this one kind of bounced, but now it's flat. Or for example, a star, this one hit $380 million, and now it's down to $2 million for TVL. So you can see like it's just turning into a ghost chain over time. We can see Hydration. This one actually did have a bounce in October, so this is probably one of the better ones. It did go up to $360 million, but now it's down to $150 million. Then we have Moonbeam. You know, this one also did pretty bad or good. It's depending on how you look at it. Like, it went up to $240 million, so that's good if you were able to capitalize on that. But now it's down to $8.9 million. Moonriver, it's like the same thing. You know, it went up to $300 million. So, and now it's down to $2 million. So I guess it's like that meme. It's like, you know, don't be sad that it's gone, you know, be happy that it happened. Like, it did go up to $300 million in some cases for some of these projects for TVL, but now it is down a lot from then. And I also believe one of the better projects is Bitfrost as well. The TVL has been growing on that. So that's probably like one of the better ones. Now, the other point is, what does Polkadot have, right? Ethereum has DeFi, it has NFTs. Solana has meme coins, it has some payments. Polkadot, I'm not really sure what it has. No one could really tell you. Now, retail back in 2021, myself included, really liked talking about DOT. It was a very interesting project at that time. It seemed visionary, it seemed very good, but every single month really since then has gotten quieter and quieter, and I haven't heard a single thing about DOT since then. And also the market cap position has been getting higher and higher as well. Now, Gavin Wood seems like a very smart guy, and you know, Polkadot seems like it's a great project academically, and it's bright in that sense, right? But this is from a normie kind of looking in. It seems a bit too complex. It seems hard to build on. It seems hard to explain. It's hard for me to even explain it as well. And back in 2020, it seemed like it was ahead of its time. But now the architecture of the project just seem a bit outdated in a sense. So those are all the reasons why I am bearish on Polkadot. Now, I made a video recently about why I'm bearish on Monad. Before it even comes out, I'm already bearish on it. And you guys really liked that video, so I decided to make a bearish video about Polkadot. And, you know, it's easy to kick a project while it's down, obviously, right? But these are points that I've had now for a few years at this point, and I'm quite bearish on a lot of other projects, which I'm going to be talking about here soon. So if you liked this video and anything resonated with you, make sure to check out my school group in the description below, where I talk about all things small gems, pre-TGE token generation events, so projects before they even go live. And I also have a 3-hour training on how to get into small gems early.